Here and Capitol Hill is for the most part empty since Congress is not in session, but there are some staff here. They came out of the building. You talked to Chad Pergram and Trish Turner, our producers over there, and there was a real worry over there that this was something like the Capitol getting attacked. Obviously, we've learned more about the 5.9 earthquake. There's real concern about the buildings, although we can't see any structural damage, Megan, but they're just taking precautions here. They're letting people get their things out of the building, and then we're not going to be allowed back in. We'll do the show from out here tonight, and it should be an interesting few hours. Who said August was not a big news month?
And there you were, just wishing you had gone to Martha's Vineyard with the president. You would have missed all the excitement if you had done that, Brett. We'll see more excitement from you at 6 p.m. Eastern if we don't get back to you before then. Brett, thank you. Stand by. I want to let our viewers know this. Okay. An interesting report just coming in from one of our producers who is at the Department of Justice, I'm sorry, who is at the Pentagon, saying that a D.C. police officer is warning folks, no, I was right the first time, the Department of Justice, do not go back into the DOJ, and warning folks not to go into the subway because they are concerned about aftershocks, trying to get information on whether that is also the case here in New York City, which is a major means of travel, the underground subway system, and the concern of aftershocks, of which we have not felt any yet. That doesn't mean they haven't happened or will not happen, but so far, firsthand accounts of those coming in and nothing being reported from the USGS. One extraordinary comment from this D.C. police officer to our producer. And this is just a one-liner, but apparently he told our producer that they are concerned that the Washington Monument may be tilting. They are concerned that the Washington Monument may be tilting. That's all I have, a one line of that. Now I'm getting word from Mike Tobin that we are now having evacuations as far north as Canada, just across the border from Detroit, that City Hall was evacuated due to this quake. So this is a widespread event in terms of where it is being felt and who is feeling it. All right, and now I want to get to John Rundle, who's a seismologist. He's and geologist with the of UC Davis. No, I'm sorry, my apologies. Harley Benz, chief scientist of the USGS. Harley, my apologies for the name. I appreciate you being here. Tell us about a 5.9 magnitude earthquake.
Yes, we just had a magnitude 5.9 earthquake in Central Virginia seismic zone of northeast Virginia. It's an area that is known for seismic activity, but certainly not this large. The largest one in this area in many, many years has been in the magnitude 4 range.
Many in the magnitude 4 range, and yet 5.9 more extraordinary?
Yes, certainly. It's much bigger than we've seen in the past.
What can people expect in the wake of a 5.9 magnitude quake? What kinds of damage, what kinds of injuries typically, if any?
Well, certainly to unreinforced masonry and brick type structures, we can certainly see falling chimneys, structural damage to buildings. Earthquake this size on the eastern seaboard, it should be widely felt throughout much of the eastern United States and eastern and southern Canada.
And I'm sorry, could you just expand on that in terms of, beyond the buildings, would you typically see what minor, scratch injuries, head bumps, that kind of thing in this kind of situation?
Yeah, well, you would, in terms of injury to people, injury is primarily going to be to either from collapsed structures, which I haven't heard of any reports on, and/or falling objects. It could be brick from your chimney. It could be things falling off of shelves and other things like that.
Indeed, nor have I. Can you explain the different reports we've been getting today on 5.8 magnitude, 6.0, 5.9 seems to be where we've now settled?
Yeah, I haven't looked. I've been doing interviews, so I'm not sure what the official magnitude is.
The latest we heard was 5.9, but is there, how significant is the difference between 5.9 and 5.8?
Really not enough in this area. What's important is in this 5.8 to 5.9, it's going to be widely felt. It can do damage in the local area around in northern Virginia.
And we were talking earlier about how the folks out west are a little bit more prepared. And by the way, this is video coming in from downtown New York. from folks outside of the buildings that have been evacuated there. About how our folks out west are a little bit more prepared for this type of event than we are here on the East Coast. To what extent, as far as you know, are our buildings shored up and prepared for a magnitude of this size?
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't hear the question.
The question is, to what extent are the buildings on the East Coast prepared for a magnitude of this size, a magnitude earthquake of 5.9?
Well, in the western U.S., we have lots of newer structures that are built to seismic safety codes. We have wood frame structures, whereas in the East Coast, in this part of Virginia, we have a lot of unreinforced brick and masonry type structures, which are vulnerable to strong ground shaking. And I think that's the biggest difference in terms of kinds of structures that can either be damaged or hurt people.
Indeed, and only time will tell as we get more information coming in on that. Sir, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Sure.
Again, just want to give you some of the latest highlights, folks. The USGS is now saying that this was a 5.9 magnitude earthquake. You are seeing scenes on your screen from around the New York area and perhaps the D.C. area, as well, as folks are walking around not really knowing what to do after having been evacuated from their workplaces throughout buildings on the East Coast. I want to update one thing. We are told that JFK Airport has shut down, that LaGuardia has not been evacuated, that they just got a new control tower, and that LaGuardia, at least as of a few minutes ago, was open for business. What you are seeing on the top left of your screen is video from a press conference they were having in the Dominique Strauss-Kahn criminal case, which was dismissed by the prosecutors today, as people felt the shaking and began running for the exits. We'll re-rack that so you can see it again. But for the most part, the shots we are seeing are of people not knowing what to do. They've been kicked out of their buildings. They're not being allowed to go back in. In our D.C. bureau, for example, folks have been told to get out. They're allowed to go back in to collect their belongings, and then they're being told to get back out again. So they are not allowed to stay in the building. Here you're seeing a shot of the GW Bridge in Manhattan, where we are obviously going to listen for information about whether there's been any structural damage, although you heard the earthquake experts saying normally it would be buildings where chimneys have fallen, that kind of thing, things that aren't built to withstand this type of quake. And while 5.9 is big, there have been bigger quakes, obviously, that have caused